and is so much more effective, and that guilt gets things done. And you like the hit of the sense of power that the exercise of criticism and guilt produces. But it just keeps those bubbles going. And it just keeps the hurting going. And it just keeps the joy of being out of sight. What you need to learn now is what you need to learn now is that only infinite patience can produce immediate effects. This is the way in which time is exchanged for eternity. And remember, I said last week that time and eternity are one, and that one is eternity. Meaning that you're always looking at, you are always experiencing eternity. If you have chosen to define it as time and created an infrastructure of beliefs around what time is and what its effects are and so on, then you are caught in an ignorance that you could call blindness to eternity. Even though you are looking at eternity or experiencing eternity and applying to it an overlay of a different definition which you're giving preference to, but it is a preferential, distorted perception of the only thing there is to have a perception about, and that is eternity. Therefore, time and eternity are one, and that one is eternity. Well, if that one is eternity, then be willing to abandon the definitions that are causing you to experience it as time. That's what it means. Again, this is the way in which time is exchanged for eternity. Infinite patience calls upon infinite love, and by producing results now, it renders time unnecessary. To say that time is temporary is merely redundant. We have repeatedly said that time is a learning device which will be abolished when it is no longer useful. And I've said earlier in our talks that any choice you make to have a perception of something different from what it really is causes what that thing divinely is to be a source of discovery for you, a source of rediscovery of what it truly is. And so it becomes a learning device. Only because you have engaged in a perception of it that is false and must therefore be unlearned. And so what the thing really is sits there, communicating to you what it really is, because that's its function, to glorify God. And so it sits there communicating to you what it is. And you seeing it, because there's nothing else to see, you seeing it, but looking at it through a biased perception, see something unclearly, And that thing that you're seeing unclearly becomes a learning device for you. It becomes the means of helping you unlearn, devalue, and abandon the distortion you have applied to it. You see? Isn't that wonderful? Continuing, the Holy Spirit, that which is nothing more than your right mind, who speaks for God in time, also knows that time is meaningless. He reminds you of this in every passing moment of time, because it is his special function to return you to eternity. That which is nothing more than your right mind has the special function to return you the infinite one that you are, who sees himself or herself circumscribed by a bubble, to return you to your wholeness, minus the bubble. Again, the Holy Spirit, who speaks for God in time, also knows that time is meaningless. He reminds you of this in every passing moment of time. Every passing moment of time becomes a learning device. Because every moment of time is just a little slice of eternity that you've chosen to look at instead of embracing the whole. But it's all of eternity there, even though you've decided to slice it up and see it a slice at a time. And so that little slice of eternity that you're calling time sits there as a learning device to bring to your remembrance eternity and to undo or cause an unlearning of the illusion that you've taught yourself. Again, he reminds you of this in every passing moment of time, because it is his special function to return you to eternity and remain there to bless your creations there. He is the only blessing you can truly give, because he is so truly blessed. And because he has been given you so freely by God, you must give him as you received him. Okay, if you must give him as you have received him, this explains this principle. When you are willing to abandon your isolation, when you are willing to abandon your independence, and you invite something else in, well, the only other thing there is what's outside the surface of the bubble. And so you invite in the only thing there is, which is the rest of you. And you in your wholeness are what God is being in his wholeness. And so you receive the inspiration, you receive the influx of clarity. But it's as though in order for the bubble to pop, you have to give away what's been given to you. And so you have to turn to your brother and sister. And that's why this paragraph is in here, the paragraph before the last one we read. that begins your patience with each other is your patience with yourselves. That's not just a nice thing to say, and it's not just a nice thing to be. It's an essential thing to be, because if you do not engage in having an object of your affection, if you do not extend to your brother because of love felt in you, the love that the Father is extending to you, it doesn't become embodied in you, as you, and break the bubble. By golly, I think you're getting it. I know that at times all of you can see how utterly simple this is. And 10 minutes later, the ego introduces the conditioned thinking, returns, and you say it can't be that simple. This is a really difficult thing to grasp, even though you got it. And it wasn't difficult to grasp. Your conditioned responses are deeply ingrained habits. So don't be surprised that they return. But also, at moments like these, I want you to remember how utterly simple the truth is. And therefore, how utterly simple your release is. So that when you lose the experience that you're having of the simplicity of it, you don't begin to bear down on yourself. And you don't begin to bear down on your brothers and sisters through the use of criticism and guilt. To try to get things to improve by means of the old familiar operating system. You have got to stay light with yourselves. You see, the suggestion is that either everything isn't as simple as the clarity that has come to you today, that either everything isn't as simple as that, and therefore you really do have to work hard at it, or the flip side of it is that what I'm saying is nonsense. That I really don't have any grasp on reality at all. And therefore, don't pay any attention to what Raj is saying. Well, you all, at moments today, have felt the simplicity of it. You've had an experience of the simplicity of it. That was real. It is the truth. And rather than climbing on your own backs and each other's backs, in order to work on making this the truth, keep a light touch. Go lightly on yourselves. And persist gently and thoughtfully and kindly. As you move to the next time, the simplicity of it registers with you clearly. Because there will be increasing episodes, we'll say, of bursts of clarity that you will experience. And those will become the foundation for your capacity to trust the truth of those experiences. And if you will be kind to yourself in the interim, between these episodes, and if you will be kind with each other in the interim, then it won't seem as though there's such a contrast between the points of clarity and your everyday life. If you like a green lawn, water it. If you like friends, treat them well. If you want to wake up, love your brother. Be involved, minus the use of criticism and guilt. Bite your tongue if you have to. It's better for your tongue to bleed than for your brother to suffer uselessly. And to suffer from guilt is a useless suffering. Don't employ it anymore. If you bite your tongue, and you're having to bite it so often that it begins to bleed, you know what? You'll stop. And it won't have anything to do with anyone else or the way they're behaving. Because you know what? You're not really stupid enough to bite your own tongue till the point it bleeds and suffer that. But you are dumb enough to employ criticism and guilt and let someone else hurt. So bite your tongue. So that it will put the focus where it needs to be, that brings you to a point of ceasing to do something that hurts you. And in the process, your world will be blessed. And you will start being on a new basis. And you being on a new basis is you embodying the excellence in you, in the world, and thus making the truth yours, thus making love yours. Don't worry. I won't let you forget for long the simplicity of it all. I look forward to being with you next week.